Hmm. Okay, great. Wait, were you even listening? You haven't taken a single note this entire meeting?
So Ron, what are we doing? Are we
hungry?
How are you hungry? Like, okay, just DoorDash, bro.
No,
Or
I can't. It's not safe out there for the DoorDasher.
okay, you're actually right. Yeah. So here, let's just DoorDash and do a mukbang. Then stop eating random beef jerky sticks, bro. Please, please, God, stop. They smell so bad, bro.
It's 8 grams of protein. It says.
Yo, bro. Yeah, you're like just eating straight up jerky is not, bro. What do you want to eat, bro? Let me order food. What do you want to eat?
No, bro, it's fine.
No, come on, bro.
That's fine.
What are you like?
I'm just a fat, aren't I?
Yes,
You
bro.
have my phone case.
Your phone case is that. Okay, Ron, what food do you want, bro? I can't turn my phone around because it's going to leak the address.
I'm hungry.
Okay, what does that mean? I'm going to try to be patient here, bro.
All right, whatever you want to eat.
I'll eat anything, bro. Pizza, chicken wings, tacos.
Oh my God, chicken wings. That's so good. Imagine a 60-piece meal. Oh my God, wings would go crazy right now. But do we need to eat before bed? Probably, right?
No, you're not supposed to eat before bed. That's the problem. We shouldn't eat food right now. we're gonna order the food. Let's plan this out. We're gonna order the wings. It's gonna literally take 30 minutes to get here. Let's just go to bed, bro. Eat that beef jerky.
All right.
Like, just go to bed, bro.
Do you have any pretzels?
Yeah, I actually do, bro. I stocked up right before you got here. I don't want beef jerky right now. Bro, I can get you pretzels and... Jinxie, relax.
We got some cake and crumble. Let's get some.
It's Shot O'Clock!
Okay. Now that one was good.
Let's see. That was good. Can
Oh,
we
yeah.
hear that?
Oh, let's eat. I'm hungry.
Okay, yeah, let's eat. So what do we do now, Shock? What's
Everyone,
next?
grab a tender.
Everybody getting a
gets
tender?
Okay. A little soggy tender here.
Oh, this one's warm. I got a warm one. You want to grab it? You want to get it?
I want to
Gotta make sure you get the cane sauce, Shock.
I'll get the bread going too.
A little soggy.
Yeah, let's get some sauce.
fat.
A little soggy. It's just a little soggy.
Grab your sauce.
Kind of look like.
I don't look like Resident Evil games.
So the frame
No, look at this. It's like soggy, bro.
Time out.
Okay, it's your first time trying canes ever.
Yes, but wait, are we? Oh, we gotta put the iced tea in frame. And
Oh, we gotta
then-
redo it.
Oh, we gotta read the whole thing.
No, it's okay.
We gotta redo the whole thing. Bro, I'm ready to eat this Shock.
Is this here?
My mouth's watering, Shock. Come on.
Okay, so now
Tap your tongue with this.
Wait, so what's happening right
So what do we do now, Shock?
I'm gonna say,
Talk to me.
what are these called? Cane tenders.
Canes tenders,
I'm
yeah.
gonna go. First up, we got the cane tenders. We're gonna dip it, and then we're just gonna bite it, and we're just gonna chew.
Okay, so eat it.
But we only get one shot at this.
Wait.
No, we can take a couple shots.
Yeah,
There's
well-
definitely a couple
We
shots.
only get one bite?
Okay, ready?
Are we willing? First up, we got the cane tender. Dip it in that sauce.
Kind of delaying each other's opportunities to play for the reboots on their duo. Turtle might be able to bring Asa back into this one, but even so, Levin, it's just a lot of groundwork that still needs to be laid out for Asa and Turtle to truly have the recovery path they need. Savage and Truly, on the other hand, though, decent looks on their surge, but it is potentially going to be snuffed out in a moment as now Savage and Truly will have to take a moment to pause. A little bit of a tough spot to be in, but they can make it work.
No, I think they're good. I think, again, as long as they have the whites to sort of sit here while zone opens up, they won't be too upset. I think they'll get even deeper, yeah. Just stay off the line if possible. Give yourself some more options if zone does pull far. Put yourself in a spot where you can maybe get a relief farm going as well. Shaco's an art skill. Eagerly waiting for this next zone, it appears.
Also recognizing the fact that there are teams opting to rotate on the cliff face a little bit further up. Seti and Combek, though. And with Combek being knocked, he's just doing what he can. Roll about in the box, prevent himself from being fully eliminated. If Seti can close this one out, that would easily be a revive opportunity here, but it's not going to allow itself to happen. Nosif immediately making sure to shut that one down. Seti still waiting to see whether or not he can actually break through, but he knew that Nosif was hurting. That Surge would eventually take care of him. But losing Combek along the way has definitely put Seti in a very rough position as a solo now left to contend with the rest of the lobby, even if he's not caught inside of the congestion currently. Levin, the moment he makes his way in, the moment a single duo even spots the fact that he is a solo, it's just going to draw the attention of the rest of the lobby.
Yeah, it becomes so difficult from this point here on out. Really just trying to find little crevices to hide in almost. Skate your way through until you can sort of put yourself in a spot to pick up some stragglers in moving zones. These two won't have to worry about that though, hopefully. Nebs and Nathan, still waiting to see a big game for them. Oftentimes, to be fair, They do tend to heat up towards the back end of tournaments of late, right? It's usually those last couple games where they start to get into a rhythm. So if now is the first big game they're able to have, I'll explain why. Frazzy and ADN though. ADN, a UK counterpart who's going to be doing his best to not make this game easy for them, but he's not working with much by way of shields right now. Him and Frazzy are going to have to get in a much healthier spot, Taco.
They're not the only ones either. Looking back in to what Flixie and Chap have been cooking with. Gonna be some of the first on the go. Playing a little bit more towards the side of the zone, and they've done an excellent job at securing a very optimal position. Not fully committed towards ultimate height just yet, but also having the capabilities to just stop duos in their tracks from actually cutting through their territory. Now we'll get a chance to see whether or not SETI really even have an opportunity to continue here. He's already got to deal with the likes of Surge ticking away at him. And 30 left in the Chug Jug and 2 medkits. He's just trying to prioritize getting the damage online instead. He knows that if he takes a moment to pause and heal, it's going to be just lost chances to try and get some additional damage. Surge Threshold has bailed him out just a bit though. Still narrowly managing to avoid sitting underneath it, but he'll take the moment to actually try and trek forward. It's running out of movement.
Say, I don't need another year from you. I don't need another month. Not another week. Not even another day. I just need one more endgame. Can you show some of that SETI magic here with nothing to work with? Can you pull something out the hat? The opportunities are there for him, but he's got to do it one more time. Pressure being applied. He'll pick up the one. And this is where the journey continues. Can he do it again? He certainly can. That player is so low, they'll move away. And he won't chase it. He's happy with what he's got so far.
Might have even recognized the audio cue, though, so close by, and SETI will at least be able to recover a little bit of the body loot, which Bimbo and Radion are clearly not too happy with, considering that they were the duo applying a little bit of additional pressure here. But it's the refreshes on the overdrive grenade that have really saved SETI big time here right now. Levin, it's giving them the options to at least have slightly better mobility to try and catch up with the rest of the pack, but this zone pool a bit brutal right now for a solo, and SETI's just got to do it all by himself. Looking for the heals, now trying to get his way upwards, but there are just so many pre-existing builds cutting him off every single step of the way. It's incredible that Height hasn't had a chance to look down on him just yet. He's made it a little bit closer towards the front side of zone, but he'll need another big 200 shot to convert into an elimination refresh, both for the Siphon and just for the additional little scraps of loot here. And that's not the same kind of hurt that Ghost and Ping are in. Instead, they're the ones applying a lot of the hurting towards the back side of the zone. Done a great job one more time, making sure to maintain as a duo with leading the charge here.
Yeah, another potential great game for Ping and Ghost, showcasing to people that they may be the real deal come next week.
All relatively in a similar spot. It's really starting to feel a bit more like, if it's not going to be me, it's not going to be you either, sort of ordeal. Because every single one of these duos currently involved in this fight are currently well outside of that consistency placement measure.
Yeah, I mean, the irony of the urgency is, yeah, all three of them are in the bottom half, right? And so chances of qualification starting to slim out, and with fights like this, they only get slimmer. Nobody's seeming to benefit out of this one. Cruising will probably be picked back up, but with another team rolling through now, it just complicates things even more. Skos and the Vegeta will walk through, and they haven't had the best of days either, coming into this game in 37th. And even then, it's not a smooth ride for them as the fourth party. They'll close it out though, and the revive will come through.
But some of these fights are feeling a little bit more like cannon fodder for the real pack leaders in this lobby. Because all players well outside of the top 15 area on the leaderboard continue to fight for essentially sticks and stones. Other duos that are looking to cement themselves in a much more comfortable spot heading into that last lobby. Firing in picks, for example. Just trying to administer damage wherever they can. Could be bad news bears, though, for Combat and Seti. Started off the day pretty hot, and outside of that first lobby, it's been a little bit more up and down than what they probably would have hoped here, Lev.
I think the silver lining for this duo is that the first game was so good that it still puts them in a decent spot, right? It's the type of game that gives you some breathing room, but eventually you find yourself gasping for air here in game number 4, and that is the predicament they're in now. They need to recover things. If they were to allow this lead to almost slip through their fingers and not qualify, it'd be a really big disappointment.
This could potentially end up being a pretty big clash, though, until the surge threshold ticks very much into Fishy and Huddy's favor. No real reason for them to necessarily try and force a fight, especially when you don't want to pick a fight with some of the lobby leaders like Pix and Ghost, excuse me, but Huddy and Fishy will instead look to take advantage of some of those teams that we've been spectating earlier on. They're coming very late to the party now. They're already pretty much working on fumes, and now it makes it all the easier for players like Fishy and Huddy that are boxed up, situated, to just continue to punish.
Yeah, they're going to be able to just sit there and just continue to rack up damage. They're in a great spot going into this next game. Again, the type of team that, you know, anybody fighting for a qualification spot probably wants to see them win, get them out, so the spots start to slip on down, because they are sitting firmly in it at the moment.
Before we get to see exactly how things finalize there for iDrop and Gonzo. Savage and Truly able to pick up an elimination to an isolated member there. But job's not finished. In fact, some would say that the job might even just be getting started here in Game 4.
I was going to say, Taka, has the job started? I mean, you still need so much more from these guys. Hopefully that elim is a sign of things to come.
But look, unashamedly, I think it's fair to share a little bit of bias from time to time. If there is a duo that can certainly turn things around at a moment's notice, it's Savage and Truly. They just need that spark, that one series of events to finally go their way, and it could be just one or two zones not ending up as max pools for Savage and Truly. But again, they are working against other metrics in the lobby. You always have to consider other players' involvement. Robin and Glubshy, one of those duos that's certainly trying to build themselves up here.
Yeah, Robin and Glubshy. Ooh, yeah. Let's go back downwards. Let's regroup for a second here. Robin and Glubshy, not the type of team I'm used to seeing lose in fights like these. And ultimately, they need damage because they are below. But that should have been a lot simpler than it was.
It's not even like Karis has a whole lot to work with either. Practically on his last legs. Doesn't even seem like he has any sort of healing resources. Otherwise, would have definitely imagined that shield would have at least started to go back up, but instead, Glubshy, Robin, because they weren't able to finalize that elimination, yeah, they're just sitting slightly below that surge threshold. And they don't get to pick and choose for much longer. They're just gonna have to start getting a little bit more proactive here with the rest of the lobby, but might just end up working against them. That surge takes just steadily picking them off. They never really had a chance to go for it.
Oh no. Oh yes. Okay, Savage. Look, guys, I'll be real. I'm not gonna hide my bias. I want to see Savage do good. Say what you want.
We
want to see Savage do good.
We really want to see Savage do well. Okay, I think that's fair.
If you have any complaints about our bias, send them to @Takata on Twitter. He will handle all complaints. Back into the game though. Savage, the journey continues. Because even with that elim, they are still down on Surge. Truly trying to stop that from being the case though. And he can't quite connect to anything. Quicksat popped up earlier talking about how these guys have earned placement points in every single game. They just can't get better than a top 15. I think what's better between this game and the last tackle for these two is the fact that they are in it together. We've seen Savage having to solo clutch a bit. We want to see them both alive to try and fix this situation that just seemingly keeps getting worse, Taco.
That's the problem, is that they've both got next to nothing to work with, and with 8 players still needing to go down before that surge will stop just being the thorn in their side. Savage and Truly just going to be forced into an awkward exchange here against Seti and Comeback. They've got to be precise as ever, but they might just be delivering some additional material here to Seti and Comeback instead. Truly still trying to force his way into the box, and it is just a fruitless endeavor.
And it's so frustrating because you have to jump in there. They make the right play, but ultimately the water is so awkward to fight in. You see Savage's POV just bubbling in the water, can't do anything. And the same water trying to get out of it sort of leaves Comeback in a predicament. And so that leaves just Seti, the sole survivor of that situation with not many builds left. We're gonna have to see a Seti masterclass.
And ultimately did play a little bit of a spoiler there too for Seti and Comeback, because like you just said, Lev, trying to navigate the remainder of this lobby as a solo is going to be very complicated, especially with the way that some teams have already opted to try and head towards height. Joseph and Izzy will look for frontside control, but Gieres as a solo, he's just got to stay one step ahead of the rest of the pack. Little by little though, still making his way forward, still doing what he can. Still 10 feet tall here. Had a really solid loadout too, aside from the fact that he was lacking the overdrive grenades. Depends on how brutal these next few zone pulls might be for him. But for Chap and Flixie, they might actually be the ultimate countermeasure here, because Gieres has got hardly any HP left.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers so far today, Chap and Flixie have been one of the better teams, delivering in most categories, but they just haven't figured it out in these endgame moments. The fundamentals haven't been on display. Here in this game, they have the chance to shut everybody up and secure a spot in the major finals. They just have to hold on to height.
When you look at some of their opposition, like iDrop, who's left as a solo, as definitely one of our contenders that certainly has leaned more towards that height favorability, but won't really have the option, especially with no materials on the low ground, just kind of crouching about, trying to see if he can drop by Frozy, but Frozy won't budge, manages to hold on to his ramp. Instead, Pixofsky caught off guard here for a moment. iDrop just trying to take out Nebs entirely, but can't get a chance. The body rolls just proving to be such a menace for players hoping for refreshes.
I don't know if that was a missed shot or just the immunity of the knock body. Either way, he'll be frustrated. But there is still one more. Nathan, not relying on that though. Needs to try and deliver some points here in this lobby. Doesn't have too much HP to work with. Chap and Flixie go down. They lose height. It's Turtle and Asa who take it from them. And now they are in pole position to take this game home.
And this is exactly the type of game that Asa and Turtle need, because they weren't working with much else at the start of this lobby. Frozy still forced to drop yet again back to ultimate low. Saturn and Pixofsky doing what they can to cover their heads, try and prevent Turtle from continuing to apply that steady pressure here. Winter, though, with a turnaround onto Alba. The Siphon just barely going to keep him up and running, but Pixofsky, Saren looking to take full advantage. Chaos that had just ensued here. Asa Turtle still seeming to be the healthiest of the bunch, though.
What are you gonna do when the pressure is on and all you have to do is connect the right shots to hit? They will do it. Asa and Turtle, not a doubt. They waited for the perfect moment to strike and they get their win. A well-deserved one as well, Taco.
Look, when it comes to trying to gauge who's actually bringing home the victory royales, things have just been very thrown for a loop in today's competition. But for Asa and Turtle, I mean, obviously, big shout out to the Bear Army there. They're feeling good and primed up heading into Major 2 Grand Finals. Desk, what do you have?
Well, I have a lot of respect for this duo because the fights and the end game right now are just looking terrifying. So the jurors that managed to hold their nerves and book their spots the next weekend grand finals, I would take my hat off to you if I was wearing one. Mini minor, great result for these guys.
Yeah, a really great result, especially since they were way down on the leaderboards going into this game. This is like perfect Heat's gameplay, if you like, because the one game that they were able to actually make it into endgame properly, they took height in a really nice fashion and managed to close out with a win to Carter. That's exactly what you want to see. It was a 44th, 40th, and a 32nd coming up into this game. So nice to see them finally getting a win.
I mean, quite literally had 9 points going into this match. And the good news is, doesn't matter, because all they need is that win, and it will send them to the major finals. Doing it with 13 eliminations is a good way to go as well. So, I mean, I'm happy to see Turtle and Asa in the finals.
Yeah, this is a great message and even a warning for all of the duos out there. Anyone can take a victory royale, and most of you need to fight for it like hell because there's only 10 spots and consistency for grabs now. And so many duos are having up and down inconsistent evenings, so everyone needs to go for the top. Let's see if they can do it in just a few minutes.
popping in that bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds? No, max up. Wait, if you're mid play. 100! 100! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Milk can help you grow. Milk can't prevent your ride from blasting into space.
There is just one more game to go before we lock in our Heat 3 victors. 5 Victory Royale winners and 10 duos going through on their consistency across the games tonight. So let's take a look at the leaderboard and see where the standings are for these duos. It's going to be particularly tense for so many of the big names. We'll be talking about those in a moment, but you can see that top 4, they're all our Victory Royale winners. So you want to look at 5th and below. And Ping and Ghost, they are the most consistent duo we've had tonight. It's obviously reflected in the numbers, Takata.
Yeah, I mean, they've been comfortably sitting there all day long, and it doesn't look like they're going anywhere but up, especially in this last match. Nice shots connecting through. They got 9th with 4 eliminations, and surprisingly enough, Minnie, that's their worst placement today.
Yeah, what they've been able to do really well is just get those placements along with those eliminations, and Ghost has to be the reason for that. The way he's playing today is absolutely unreal, and he's a player that we have to keep our eyes on now when it comes to the major 2 finals, just because, you know, look at their points. They've definitely already qualified through, so it's like this is a team now that I'm going to be taking a look at, because Ghost is absolutely popping off, playing at the level we know he can really play out. Of course, playing with Tayson last season, couldn't quite reach those, and looking to make yet another major final. It would be his, it is now his 3rd, so really excited to see actually what this duo can do and seeing whether they can actually perform at this level in the major finals.
And Mini Money, we can see Chap and Flixie, they've gone up 1 place after game 4. Despite Flixie ending up in 10th, they're not necessarily making it to the bitter end games, but they're always picking up eliminations along the way.
Yeah, they are. This is a weird game for them as well, because it looked like this was going to finally be their game. We spoke about them before this game. We're like, yeah, they're making it to the end games. They're doing all right. They're just about limping their way through, and they will, of course, be in the Major 2 finals. And I thought this was going to be their game to actually win and go ahead and take the game. And I want to actually see what exactly happened here, because I know Chat went back into the storm, I think, to try and maybe get a little bit of extra loot. Flixie then shockwaves on up, and I think they just got height taken off of them. Was it in the back, potentially? Because, of course, it wasn't height for them very much longer, and it was just tough. Yeah, it was that shockwave up there, I think. Was it maybe that Alba, of course, put a lot of damage on? But for these guys, yeah, there you go, getting shot down, that was the reason why they lost height. But for these guys, they've qualified through Takata. Excited to see what they can do, because they're such a great duo.
Yeah, it's interesting because they've only been in the top 10 one match. It was 7th place on the first game of the day. Since then, 17th, 11th, 10th. Like, they're good placements. It's enough to put you in qualifying range through consistency. Cutoff is currently 125 points. It will be top 15 once we'll finish this last match of the day. So they're doing good, but I need to see them get a top 5.
Oh, but Takata, let's face it, this is Chap and Flixie. They're going to be W-king the lobby in this final game. They're fairly comfortable on points, as you guys have just stated. Now they're going to be hungry for height. They're going to be hungry for, like, placing finally within that top 3. I want to see them in that final fight, Takata. Are we going to see it? Promise me this.
I'd say so. I'd say so. I mean, they're going to play all or nothing for this last match of the day. Whereas on the contrary, there's a lot of players who are kind of outside of that qualifying range or maybe just on the cutoff. And those are the players who are going to be feeling the pressure, the ones that have to make this last match count.
Well, if we bring up the leaderboard, we'll see Nathan and Nebs. They are on page 1 of the leaderboard right now. And this is a duo, to be honest, that have performed under all of our expectations. We've basically all said this individually on the broadcast tonight. We know that they deserve to be in the grand finals. We just want them to pull out an all guns blazing display, Mini Miner.
Yeah, I think realistically should just about be qualified through, but it was a really important game for them, this one, actually, here in Game 4, because they did have that wobble in Game 3 where they got a 24th with not a single elimination. So it was actually good to see them back together in endgame Takata, which is where they operate best. And even Nebs there hitting a good few shots, unfortunately getting dropped down there at the end, but just about doing enough here to realistically already qualify them through, but they just want to bolster that here in the last game.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because these are one of the favorites going into today, uncontested, dead center of the map, looking primed up from the play-ins, and I mean, they're in qualifying range, but we did expect a bit more from them, so we'll see if they can finish strong in the last match.
We'll take a look at the qualifying range now on page 2 of the leaderboard. Remember, guys, we are looking at the top 4 of this page. If you're 15th and below, you're currently not in contention, but obviously everything can change after this next game. So Pix and Farron and Tiddy and Hool, they are currently on the threshold to Carter. These are 2 teams that can pull a big game out of the bag.
Yeah, there's just so many names. I'm also surprised Comeback Seti in 17th, Fear and Pix. I mean, Ifrazi, Giros, Cheatin. There's just so many names who are outside of qualifying range right now, and some who are also barely in. iDrop Gonzo, Hellfire Winther. It's just a little bit too much pressure for these teams with only 1 match left to make it happen. So taking a look at Hellfire and Winther, though, they have been getting a lot of eliminations throughout these matches, especially the most recent one with a second place 7 Elim finish, Mini.
Yeah, they're not quite in, though. They're not quite in. I wouldn't say 140 points is home and dry quite yet, so they're still going to need a big performance here. Of course, we all know about Hellfire being playing at the top of his game for so long, and nice to see him, of course, still performing at this level as well. I was looking at Seti there as well, and Comeback. They had a really good start to the day, remember? I think it was a 3rd place they had in their very first game, and they've just tapered off throughout the rest of the day, and I think now it's finally starting to set in that it's now or never for them. They need to get back in to that top 15, because remember, they've had an uncontested drop spot all day, so to be honest, there's no excuses.
And there's no excuses if you do not make it to the Major 2 finals for all of these duos, if you want to make it to Antwerp for the Global Championship. Yes, we had the last chance lobby, 5 spots up for grabs on Tuesday, but then if you don't make it to grand finals, take one of those 9 spots to Antwerp, you're going to have to go for the last chance qualifier in August, and there's only a 1/3 of the spots up for grabs. That's 3 places. Major 2 finals you have to make if you want to have a chance at being a global champion. That is on the minds of all of our duos as we go into this 5th and final game of Heat 3.
Frankie set the stakes perfectly. You have to make it count now. A lot of players in this lobby still would have been hoping to have picked one of those tickets up early in the day, but you still have game number 5 to make it happen, Taco.
And what's even crazier still to factor in too is just knowing that, sure, we've got a handful of teams that have definitely secured their position when it comes to the placement points, but I would say starting right around where Nebs and Nathan are hovering, 156 points, all the way down to around 22nd place of 82. It's all realistically within overtaking range of each other. There are a lot of players who still potentially have a little bit of a chance. It's small, but as long as it's there, everyone's going to be fighting for it, and we'll get to see who actually makes it here in Game 5. And sort of continuing that initial talking point, it's just understanding that, sure, while the difference between 82 points and 156 might seem steep, it's still just enough that players are going to have to really try and do everything in their power. Whatever's left over in the tank, every last little bit of gas, you've just got to stomp on the pedal and try to really skyrocket yourself forward into the best possible position. And for other teams, it's all or nothing. They don't have the luxury of choosing. Their only hopes of making it to the Major 2 Grand Finals outside of the last chance lobby is just going to be a win and you're in situation. Parties that have been fighting at Latte Landing and such all day long. No one really coming out on top for it. Even if they have been able to convert off spawn wins, it's usually immediately shut down by third-party endeavors. This time it'll feature SETI and Comeback. Again, the panic isn't there just yet, but SETI and Comeback know what's at stake. They are currently sitting outside of that placement.
Yeah, a little bit of damage there. The fight before that, inconsequential, right? 2 bottom 5 teams cannibalizing each other. That is the nature of these heat games. But for SETI and Comeback, that damage gives them a start in this game. A start which will be a journey towards a win.
Really just thinking about SETI and Comeback right now, since they're already a bit northern of the map. They might even have the chance to third party yet again. What's taking place here between more teams that are currently on that bottom 25 half of the leaderboard. And for Noah and Seisher, seems like they were able to get the win over Shakos and Artskill. But it'll still be tough to try and escape the likes of SETI and Comeback.
This is big. We've not seen much of Izzy and Nosif today, but they've been a team hovering around the edge of qualification. And just like that, Izzy and Nosif's hopes and dreams will rely on the last chance qualifier. Unfortunately for them, we shunned the light on them a bit too late. They struggled to deal with it. And so that is gonna be the end of the road there for them. Chap and Flixie. We've spoken a lot about their struggles. I don't think they're gonna struggle though if they're going up against Kaysen based on some of the stats I was given last game. Noodle might have something to say though. Or maybe not.
Unfortunately, Noodle also getting pressured from elsewhere. And those additional little beams being sent from Tozio were more than enough to continue. Chap and Flixie's a little bit of aggression there. Kind of sunk Noodle along the way. But yeah, Chap, Flixie, it hasn't been, you know, a lights out performance by any means today, but it's at least been enough to where they are in a relatively safe position for the contention in terms of placement. It'd be great to see them close things out with the Victory Royale. We know that they've got the potential for it, but if we're going to follow today's narrative in terms of how their day has gone, it's very likely just going to be solid movements throughout the end game. It's just going to translate into additional points.
Hutty and Fishy, I'm still holding on to the dream. I want to see them get a win.
At least one of the two.
At least one. Look, Zarb and Wallbacks, they're qualified. They're good. They will make it on consistency. Whether or not they want to leave the lobby with one win will depend on them, really, based on how they've been playing. They're going to be running at anybody trying to disrupt people's opportunities. Alba and Xenox coming into this game sat in 23rd. Not the closest to being able to qualify, but still not impossible. A really good game could do it if they can muster one up. But again, when you have Wallbacks and Zarb running at you like this, it does complicate things a tad bit.
To be fair, that did come back to bite him in the last lobby, since Xenox was able to clutch up against Zarb and Wallbacks. It's a big part of the reason why they had that huge comeback in Game 4. And, well, Unfortunately for Huddy and Fishy, it seems like their departure from Wonky Land has sent them directly towards Chap and Flixie's area. Is now Chap Flixie can kind of fight things through. There is another duo, Carlos and Morles, who have unfortunately gotten involved. Whether or not they necessarily wanted to be here is a different story entirely, but for Chap and Flixie, they won't have any problems whatsoever taking down yet another duo in this lobby. Huddy Fishy have managed to escape down towards the tunnel, so be safe for the time being.
Nebs and Nathan, another one of those teams that again started to pick the pace up a bit and are in a good position to be able to qualify. A good last game would not hurt. A win wouldn't hurt. No, I'm with you. I want to see them get a dub.
Especially when you factor in that, you know, we're looking at teams in their divisional cup performances, right? That's one of the leading metrics for where you like to factor how a duo might perform in their given heats. And you have to remember, Nebs and Nathan, one of the few duos that have actually managed to secure 3 Victory Royales in a singular Div Cup Finals. So you would almost expect that a Victory Royale in the Heats lobby is just a given, and yet today's competition clearly showcasing that there is plenty of talent on the E region that is all looking to get their hands on that same win condition.
This is a team a lot of people will want to be watching in this final game just because of how many people will be rooting for them. This is Savage and Truly. Struggles all throughout today. And the pressure are mounting on a Game 5 win for them most likely, with the best team on the day currently lurking around them. Does not bode well.
Most definitely a make or break situation, and a circumstance that this could also just wind up being the ultimate catalyst, though, for Savage and Truly. Should Ping and Ghost continue to try and pursue this fight, and if Savage and Truly were able to come out on the better end of it, that would certainly have to be the ultimate confidence metric to carry them through into a solid endgame performance, because they just need the one. Realistically speaking, looking at some of these teams that are currently in competition for that top placement metric, most of them have had just 1 or 2 solid games on the day, and the rest a little bit more towards the dudded section. But that just goes to show that a very strong performance in the final hour could be the actual difference maker between last chance lobby or already having your seat on the battle bus for the Major 2 Grand Finals.
Yeah, it's always very fine margins, isn't it? And I know for the players, you replay those moments over and over again in your mind. Chap and Flixie find themselves in the midst of a battle between them and Nebs and Nathan. Neither team really comes out of this positively.
A bit more of a net negative, though, for Flixie and Chap. Anytime you see a party that's at a loadout spot waiting for an item to fill it out. But for Chap and Flixie, the start of this game, they were able to get rather aggressive. I mean, Chap with 3 eliminations, as is. And yet, still trying to see whether or not they can get some more out of it. Alvin and Brutus, duo that needs to avoid falling at this stage. Their hopes clinging onto whether or not they can actually overcome Chap and Flixie in this current fight, or at least draw it out long enough to maybe discourage them from wanting to continue it. But they've got nothing to lose. Even if they fall now, it won't really make much of a difference in terms of how their day has already been going. And for Flixie, they'll find that first elimination. Alvin now just hiding out of sight, out of mind, hoping that Chef and Flixie will be content with at least one of the two, and it does seem to be the case.
They're not the only ones getting involved in action though. Fishy and Hutty been active in the feed, and this is exactly what's been taking place. I mean, yeah, if you're running that Fishy, he's gonna be ready for you.
You know, they always say you want to pick your fights carefully. And unfortunately for some players in this lobby, you're not going to necessarily know right away of who exactly it is you're trying to go toe-to-toe with, but without a doubt, Fishy got to be one of the worst players to actually encounter, especially in a Game 5 circumstance. Because there are no other opportunities in today's competition. It is going to be last chance lobby or bust.
Yeah, just to clarify before someone clips you out of context, worse because he's good.
Yes.
Goes without saying.
Biggest part of the reason why Chuck and Ifrozi are trying to avoid this fight is because they're dealing with a team that's got nothing to lose. They're playing only for the win. Bimbo and Radeon have absolutely exhausted themselves when it comes to most of their material count in this fight, but they are just playing for that Hail Mary takeaway. They're trying to see if they can shut down Chuck and Ifrozi, who, sure, they might be hovering just outside the placement range, but it's a very difficult spot to be in when you know that you've got a duo challenging you that is clearly desperate. And for Bimbo and Radeon, the main reason why they wanted that fight so badly is just because they know that they need every bit of elimination points they can get, just in case they wind up with the top 3 positioning. You never know if you just barely might manage to crawl your way into that